don't cost you nothing.
Hey YouTube, it's Auntie Mickey. As I promised that I would give my take on the final chapter of the Portia book. The Pursuit of Portia, How I Grew into My Power and Purpose. I've read over the final chapter. It basically covers her time protesting, following in the footsteps of her grandfather, who was a civil rights leader along with Martin Luther King. And she embodied his spirit during the time of the George Floyd situation. In Atlanta, they peacefully protested. The people were tear gassed. Wow. Apparently, there was a curfew in place. The curfew wasn't in effect until 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. But they began tear gassing people at 7:30. Crazy. Of course, if you haven't experienced the effects of tear gas, it's nothing pretty. She, in fact, was tear gassed and experienced the tear gas in the eyes and the coughing. Had to get the milk solution to pour into the eyes and whatnot. She also found out that her cousin was also assaulted. I believe her jaw was broken. Just a mess. But this was just the tip of the iceberg in terms of Portia's activism. This was the beginning of her true activism as an adult. From there, she went on to protest the Breonna Taylor deletion by the police in Kentucky, I believe it was. She actually took a flight. Her and her baby daddy went down there and peacefully protested as well. In that particular protest, they were actually arrested. So she speaks a lot about that in the chapter. She describes the surroundings. Even in Atlanta, when she was protesting for George Floyd, how the KKK buses rode by and threw things at the protesters. It was awful. But it just goes to show that racism is alive and well in America. Go figure. I'll read just an excerpt of her book pertaining to the Breonna Taylor protests. It says, bringing Breonna Taylor's family justice felt like something that needed to be handled immediately. And I felt pulled to do everything I could to help raise awareness of who this woman was and how her life was violently and carelessly taken away from her. What upset me even more was the lack of media coverage Breonna Taylor's case was getting. It almost felt like another injustice, as if she was being systematically silenced. This is a black woman killed in her own home by the police's negligence. Where's the outcry? She goes on to say that she used her platform and basically took it to social media, where she has thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. So she took that awareness to social media, and it was pretty effective. They flew to Kentucky for these protests, her and her baby daddy, and it was taking quite a risk considering the fact that they have a daughter together, and what happens if they both get arrested? And eventually that's what happened. So it goes on to also talk about another protest that she was involved with. She actually involved herself in many protests, especially in Atlanta. It wasn't just one, it was several in Atlanta before she went on to protest in Kentucky. She also describes the jail cell that they were placed in. Says, along with the women who were arrested alongside me, I was put I was put into a filthy cage just big enough for one person. Spider webs floated in the corners of the cage, the only sign of life in that jail. My hands were handcuffed to the fence for good measure, and the police took my mask, which bore the name of Breonna Taylor. They replaced it with their own mask, because in case you forgot, we were still protesting in the middle of a pandemic, fighting for our lives on every front. The men, however, suffered more in the holding area, because they were configured in some sort of chain gang. All you could hear were the shackles banging up against each other. Later, she goes on to protest Sandra Bland's deletion. She was down in Kentucky being separated from her group. You know, without going any further on this, we all know what these times have been like, especially during the George Floyd protests. It galvanized everybody in this country at that time. But you know, something about time erases memory. And after a while, things just go back to what they used to be. Really unfortunate. But giving my synopsis on this particular chapter, I have to give it to Portia. Portia put herself out on the line. She really did. I admire her. I admire her for the fact that she did more than most people that had everything to lose, or had nothing to lose for that matter. She did more. She put more on the line. She put herself on the line. She put her family on the line. She put her life on the line. The epilogue. Many of these stories contain my pain and my sadness. I built a very real habit as a child, one where I would dress up my pain so it remained hidden under the makeup, the laughs, and the smiles. While all these smiles were real, I also felt a need to be strong for the people around me, to not make waves, to please the men, the family members, the employees, and the people who looked up to me, to be a perfect version of myself. But there is no perfect version of me. There's no perfect version of anyone. Now when things in my life hurt, I deal with the pain. I don't dress it up or try to hide it. I ride the waves that life can often bring to shore and try not to worry about pleasing anyone aside from myself and my loved ones. Many of these stories also share my growth, my strength, and my testimony. If these words can help someone find lightness during the dark times, then I have accomplished what I set out to do. I am a work in progress, and I always will be. I'm still on my journey to becoming the best version of myself, and to finding an even greater happiness than the one I have been blessed with right now. I am still on my pursuit of Portia, and I hope these words help you in your pursuit too. There you have it. Portia Williams' Pursuit of Portia. How I Grew into My Power and Purpose. Chapter 10. Hope you enjoyed my little synopsis of it. Wasn't reading the whole chapter, but hey, what can I say? Copyright. Y'all have a great day. Bye.